Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and I got a couple stories to share with you in this very latest Moon Lambo Hot Jam, beginning with this one from crypto media outlet You Today. Flare's IOUs at almost 50% overnight ahead of Songbird release. And so, like, what's interesting to me, because I feel like many of us in the XRP community, and for understandable reasons, maybe not on a day-to-day basis thinking about the Spark token or Songbird, but the truth is, if you're an XRP holder, your net worth just spiked while you weren't looking, probably. Right? Some of you were probably looking. Some of you. I wasn't, to be honest. Like, I don't look at the price of the Spark token as frequently as I do, XRP or any number of other coins, with the simple reason being, like, it hasn't been distributed yet, but it's still real. And yeah, I know, and it's a fair argument. You can bring the argument up. What happens once it all gets dumped on the market, this or that? Okay, well, maybe the price plunges, but what do we know about short-term volatility? It doesn't matter. You could look over the last 12 years, any serious plunge with Bitcoin or XRP or pick just about any crypto, look at it, and then you find it doesn't freaking matter in the future. And so anyway, there was also this headline, though, from AMB Crypto. I want to talk about this, too. This is titled, What You Need to Know About XRP's Path to $2. And so they covered in here, I want to cover part of this article. So there's a part where they're tracking certain metrics, which are worth looking at. They're very interesting. One of them was the stock-to-flow model applied to XRP, which you usually don't see. As far as it pertains to crypto, at least as far as it's generally discussed on the crypto media outlets, you usually see it applied to Bitcoin, and that's pretty much it. So there's a firm called Sentiment, which you may have, excuse me, you may have heard me talk about in the past or just otherwise been familiar with. And so they're applying it to XRP, and I actually happen to have not known that, which is interesting. I say apply to every crypto, that's fine, but the meaningfulness of it varies depending on factors that aren't really highlighted in this article. And so I want to talk about that and a few other things. But I also want to be clear at the outset, I don't have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos purely as a hobby. And so as far as this first topic, I don't really want to read through the article because a lot of it's too general, and I feel like I've thoroughly covered it, such topics on my channel and various videos, but still worth talking about, especially considering what's been happening with the Spark token. And so, happy to acknowledge, fine. Well, maybe happy is the wrong word, but the Spark token IOU, which is what's being traded now because the blockchain is not live, but the Spark token IOU, and you look here on Live CoinWatch, it's still at $1.28, and so fine, it's down from its recent 24-hour high, but do you know what its recent 24-hour high was? $1.70, right? Okay, but look back a little bit further. What about when remember when the world was ending like 2 weeks ago? Remember? Like everything was on fire and crypto was no longer going to exist. Do you remember that? I remember that. So here you go. Look back to, here's a random day I picked at the beginning part of the month. August 5th, 2021. The price of the Spark token IOU, 85 cents. And so even with the recent pull down within the last 24 hours going from $1.70 down to what it is now, as I record this anyway, $1.28. Damn. It's just like we're sitting here, and I think, like, and understandably so, like I said, most of us aren't thinking about like the fact that if we're XRP holders and we claimed our Spark tokens during the time frame when we were allowed to do so, holy hell, like this could be worth a freaking fortune. And I have to tell you too, also, like, I've never seen a coin drop. An airdrop is what I meant to say. I've never seen an airdrop that's been so widely supported. I mean, you're talking about over 100 exchanges on board from the beginning, from the very beginning. You're talking about Ripple, one of the most notable companies in all of crypto and blockchain, just absolutely backing it. It's astonishing what's happening here. Like, the opportunity here is tremendous, and fine, yeah. So we're not seeing it, the actual cryptocurrency itself traded on exchanges that we're seeing in IOU. Fine. But what's going to happen as these exchanges that are offering the airdrop, over 100 of them, like, do you not think that most, or if not all of them, do you not think at least most of them would at some point think, well, we just offered this for free and it cost us paying our staff to set up all the wallets and this and that. Might you think that maybe they want to make some damn money off it at some point, which means allowing it to be traded, making money on the buying and selling of it. And what does that do? And then you're talking about more participants. You're talking about more liquidity. And over a span of years in particular, my gosh, this could be the greatest gift that we have ever received. We'll see. I don't know, but damn. I've not seen an airdrop like this. I really have not. Now, as far as XRP, because I want to talk about this too, there's a couple, I'd say a few interesting metrics. And so there's this article from A&B Crypto titled, "What You Need to Know About XRP's Path to $2." Now, I do like the assumption that we will get back to $2. Now, look, I don't make price predictions. I don't pretend to know anything for sure. But I suspect it's more likely than not we're going to hit that. In fact, I'll be a little bit more bold. I think it's more likely than not at some point in the future, unknown when for sure, but at some point, XRP will hit its all-time high, near $4, right? And then enter a new realm of price discovery. That, to me, sounds more probable than it not happening. Crypto's crazy. It all moves in tandem, though. The fact that and there's good reasons. Like, I call it crazy. Like, there is sense to it. It's just, it seems crazy. From the outside looking in, it feels and looks crazy, but there is reason for all of this. There's all sorts of reason, which I've been talking about for over 2.5 years. That's not the thrust of this video, so I won't delve into that concept any further, but it is true. Now, look at this little subheading in this article titled, "What Do Metrics Say?" Now, this is interesting. You will like this if you are an XRP holder. Mostly. The mean coinage of XRP stood at its all-time high level, which is 1,001 days, at the time of writing. As such, this metric depicts the average number of days that all the XRP tokens have stayed in their current addresses. It witnessed a slight deviation during the beginning of August, but has been able to negate the same with its current uptrend. The rise in the average age points out the fact that most of the hodlers are accumulating XRP at this stage. Well, how about that? Is that terribly surprising right now? Now, think about it, though. Over what's been happening price-wise since May 19th when the market began tanking. Pure panic in the streets. Right? Again, everything on fire. Bad. Go to zero. No existence of crypto in future, right? That type of stupid sentiment, which was never in line with reality. But that's what the humans were feeling, right? That's what was actually happening here. But what happened after the majority part of the sell-off? Well, of course, at some point, the market finds a bottom, and then what happens? Everybody else that wasn't an idiot stick recognizes, oh yeah, the humans are done saying everything's on fire, and then they start buying. So how about that? Accumulation begins, and this is the chart on your screen right here. This comes from Santiment. I like the folks at Santiment. And then check out this. The coin's dormancy also exhibited a similar trend. The dormant circulation, as a matter of fact, shows the number of unique tokens transacted on a given day that have not been moved for a fairly long duration of time. Now, as per the chart attached below, the 180-day dormant circulation did witness a massive spike during the end of July, and the token's price parallelly felt the pinch. The same, however, remained on the lower side since the beginning of August. This, by and large, supports the accumulation narrative again. Look, it's simple data, my friends. And you can also look at how humans behave, because it's so psychological. It really is. And since you're a human, you can understand why, because you felt, in all likelihood, the same euphoria when stuff goes up, and the same fear when things go down. If you're being honest with yourself, you have. And I've felt those things. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I'm a freaking human. But what's happened is, as I've recognized this, and I recognized this a long time ago, I mean, it's just at a certain point past where it's like it doesn't impact me. It's just data to me. I don't feel these things. At this point, I'm more of a robot than a human when it comes to reacting to crypto price action. I think that's a better way to live, though, frankly. And then there's this. I want to talk about this. XRP and the stock-to-flow model. How about that? You've probably heard that as it pertains to Bitcoin, but it's being applied to XRP here. And as long as it's, Santiment, like them, as long as they're applying it to everything, that's fine. But the truth is, depending on factors specific to each blockchain, it could have more or less importance, right? Because when you're talking about the stock to flow model, and you're talking about how much new amount of whatever coin is entering circulation effectively, right? And that's a number that matters, but you can have variances in that, can't you? Can't you have a coin like Bitcoin where a certain amount enters, and then you can have XRP where a lower amount enters circulation? You can, and you do have that. And I'm not even sold on the idea of the stock to flow model anyway. I mean, I admit, let me read this first actually, and then I'll share with you my thoughts. Here's what they wrote. It's just a few sentences. XRP's stock to flow ratio has, however, remained on the downside since June. The stock to flow model helps in deciphering how much supply enters the market every year relative to its total supply. Ergo, higher the ratio, lesser is the supply that enters the market. However, looking at the current state of this indicator, it can be said that it would be quite challenging for XRP to retain its value over the long term. Look, here's the deal. As far as stock to flow, I acknowledge this because it is true. If you look at the stock to flow model, it's been pretty spot on for Bitcoin. If you look at from the inception of Bitcoin to this point, and I've highlighted this on my channel a number of times, that is true. I acknowledge it. That's reality. Fine. Whatever. Data's data. I'm not convinced that it's always going to be the case. Because here's the reason. When you're talking about the stock to flow ratio, you're talking about supply. You're not talking about demand changes. If there are substantial demand changes, well, I'm sorry, your model doesn't take that into account. It just doesn't. And do you not think that there could at some point in the future be substantial demand changes? Because I think that's certainly plausible. You know, and if you think the rate of demand is always going to continue increasing at the rate that you've seen for the last 12 years, maybe you'll get lucky and that's right for X amount of time, 10, 20, 30 years. Are you though? I'm not so sure. Maybe. I doubt it. To be honest, I kind of doubt it. Like let me word it this way. I'm skeptical of the stock to flow ratio. It doesn't take into account demand. Like, what? Like, and still, again, that's why I also say I'm acknowledging it's been rather precise, but there are certain things that could happen where you could have greater demand fluctuations than you've historically seen. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm talking about at some point reaching a point where there's a historical change. And that is what it would be. If you're talking about historically what's happened with supply and demand, well, then it would just keep going in perpetuity. We wouldn't really see anything outside of that. But you don't think there's going to be something outside of that at some point ever? Now, that's a hard pill for me to swallow. That's a little bit more difficult. Now, as it pertains to XRP specifically, understand that what they're talking about here, they don't say it in the article, but what they're talking about, obviously, it's Ripple selling XRP. And so the way that Live CoinWatch and CoinMarketCap and pick your entity decide whether or not something is in circulation is, has Ripple sold it? Is it out into the wild after Ripple already had it? That's what they're talking about. Whether you like that or don't like it, that's a different conversation. That's what they're talking about. And so as far as that being the case, like Ripple, they're only selling a certain percentage of the XRP they hold, first of all, to key strategic partners. And then on top of that, it can only be a maximum of a certain percentage based on global XRP volume because they don't want to impact the price. And so if you're talking about stock to flow, demand, this and that, and you're only looking at Ripple, I don't think you're sufficiently looking at I don't think you're looking at the right metrics, to be honest with you. Which it goes back to kind of the reasonable skepticism I have about stock to flow. That's more so what it has to do with. Because again, a bunch of demand comes in, it doesn't matter what the hell the coin is. If there's way too much demand, the price goes up. And so when they said here, looking at the stock to flow model for XRP, talking about its value over the long term not looking so out, I'm sitting there like, okay, I can't buy into that. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't pretend to, but the concept of it just seems, doesn't the concept seem flawed? It sure as hell does to me. And if you think different, well, you can just get out. No, I'm kidding. If you think differently, actually, I would love to have some thoughtful discourse with you. So if you think I'm wrong or have a different perspective, I don't get offended by ideas that are different than my own. I know it's a rarity in humans, isn't it? But I don't. Now, if you're like being a D-bag to me, then I'll recognize that and then I won't be fond. But if you're just challenging my ideas and being a nice individual, I'm going to like you. In fact, I like being challenged because I don't need to be right about stuff to be happy with my life or to be proud of myself or so on and so forth. I think it's fun to talk about stuff and have engaging debates and conversations like that. That's when I feel alive. So if you think I'm right or wrong, whatever you think, if you want to add something to the conversation, please drop a comment below. I do love hearing from you. But I'm going to wrap up here. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!